Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike Girassi, supervisor for the town of Horicon. It's great to see so many people. We're going to have to build more bridges because you can't get this many people to come to town board meetings ever. So this is terrific. And these are, obviously, this is a couple of projects that have been in the discussion phase for quite some time. It's great to see that it's actually going to happen in a relatively soon period of time. So again, thank you, number one, for being here, but for your interest and your participation in town government. I think it's terrific. So I want to introduce a great partner who's the superintendent of Warren County DPW, Kevin Hajos. Kevin, he does so much for every community in this county, including Horicon. A lot of your tax dollars, actually 76% of every one of your tax dollars goes to Warren County. And a lot of times people will say to me, what do we get for that money? You get a lot. And this is some of what you get. And Kevin is a great, great partner, and the service that he provides to our town and countywide, can't express our gratefulness enough. So, Kevin Hajos, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. I don't know if I can live up to that, so, but anyways, as Mike said, I want to first thank all of you for being here. It's a true testament to you're really invested in your town and what's happening in your town. I'd like to also thank Mike for allowing us to use the facility. He's been a great partner, and since he's been on board, he's had a lot of questions, and I hope I've been able to answer most of them, but I've tried to help all the towns out as much as we can. Housekeeping real quick, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, down the hallway to your left is where the bathrooms are if you need to use the restroom facilities. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Collier Engineers with Brett and Dan, and they're going to kind of go through the two projects. We will stick around tonight to ask any questions. They have the display boards up. I don't know that we'll ask or answer a lot of them right here, but we will try to answer as many as we can. And if you have any comments, make it on their comment sheets.
There are comment sheets up back where the sign-in sheets are, and we have a specific email address assigned at the end of the presentation that goes directly to me for this project.
So please, if you didn't hear something tonight or there's something else you want to comment on, please fill out those comment sheets, or the address will be put up on the screen. Fill them in, and we'll make sure that we address all the comments. And with that, I will turn it over to Colliers. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Dan Farnan. I am the project manager at Colliers Engineering and Design for the replacement of the Adirondack and Beaver bridges. With me tonight, I have Brett Reynolds, who is also another engineer with us, and a couple other engineers who have helped with setting things up and some of the technical components of our presentation. I did announce a few minutes ago, but just as a reminder, we are recording the presentation. It will be posted online likely next week, I believe. One other just quick housekeeping item too that would be very appreciated is if you didn't have a chance to sign in after the presentation, please do, just so that we do have a record of everybody who showed up tonight. All right? So this is obviously all of our contact information. The information is to be available. You can see it online and get a hold of various individuals at Warren County who are the sponsors of the project, and then Brett and my information at the bottom. So tonight's agenda, what we're going to be going over after the introduction, the purpose of the meeting, why we're all here, and how you can be involved. I will go through our project schedule as it stands today. We'll talk about the need for the project. Why are we replacing these bridges? The alternatives analysis. This is a conversation on what we do as engineers to select type of structure that is going to be built in replacement of the existing ones, and the reasons why, given all of the constraints or environmental reasons why we've chosen a particular design. Then we will show the proposed designs, which are reflected on the boards. If you have not had a chance to see them after the presentation, I invite everybody to go take a quick look, take pictures, whatever you would like to make sure you can see what it is that we're proposing tonight. We will review the anticipated detours. One of the biggest things that is going to impact the local community, obviously, during construction. I want to make sure that we can explain what we know about what those detours would look like at this point in the project. And then the last topic to review through is the funding and what we're anticipating the construction costs will be. So the purpose of the meeting, why are we here tonight? Obviously, I'm going to explain the details to the best of my ability as it stands right now, but the real reason for this is all paid for by taxpayer money. This is all paid for by everybody that's here. And you are the community that is going to benefit from it. You have a chance to see all of this information. You have a chance to contribute your feedback to the county so that it is reflected in what we call the design report. I will explain that in a second. Basically, the community is going to be involved and we get a chance to listen to your feedback on what's being proposed. So the way that you can be involved, listen to everything that we're able to go through tonight, view the display boards as mentioned, our brochure. If there were not enough copies, we can definitely make sure that it's something that the county has and maybe it can be posted online with access to it. Ask questions, and what was mentioned earlier is there is a comment form that you can take. It is a mail-in, but we do have an email address, as Nathan had mentioned, where comments can be issued. Important to note, we are asking for all of our public comments to come in 30 days from now, so October 27th. That allows the public enough time to review the materials. When it's posted online, we review this presentation. Obviously, you're going to have what you learned tonight, the conversation that happens tomorrow, the conversation that happens in a week, more questions that come up. The comment period is open for you to register those comments or questions until October 27th. So our project schedule. Colliers came into the project in March of this year. Prior to that, what I will just explain is that there is a process of obtaining the funding, understanding the need for the project, programming that, and obtaining the funding. The county did all of that work with local input and all the processes they have for asset management, understanding bridges they own and what conditions they are in. They went through that process, obtained the funding, and then they came out and hired an engineering firm. And that is us, Colliers. So we started in March, and in May through June and July, our first step of this process was our conceptual design, and it was also our due diligence. We sent surveyors out in the field to pick up all of the existing information. We sent environmentalists out into the field for the information that they gather about the streams and wetlands and other components specific to environmental. And our engineers also went to the individual bridges to understand the exact condition that they're in so that we're able to document that. And that brings us that's the ability for us to figure out what designs we are able to propose, put those together, and then be able to present them to you tonight, showing what our thoughts are on what these bridges will look like when they're constructed. The next step, as I mentioned earlier, is a design report. We take all of the information, all of the environmental information, the comments we get tonight, my analysis on what these bridges might cost, and the different options that we have. We put it all together in a report. Goes through a review process, and we get a design approval. We're going to pick with that report which bridge design will be progressed and built at each of these sites. That process is going to take place with the remaining months of the year, and by early 2024, we begin the process. It's abbreviated ADP, Advanced Detailed Plans. That is the design. We're going to actually design the bridges, draw all of the plans, and come up with what will eventually be constructed. In mid to late 2024, we will get to the point where we finalize our design. That's called PS&E phase. It is essentially just construction plans and getting ready to select a contractor so the project can be put into construction late 2024 and then through all of 2025. One thing that I will say about this and projects are like this is our best forecast for the schedule as of today. Things can definitely change as we go through the process. This is where we believe that we're going to end up, and that construction would end in 2025. There are some things that can obviously change that, and the reason for me not being specific on the months is because I don't want to, particularly pin down a day knowing that it can be pretty fluid. But that is our goal. Why are the projects needed? So if we take a look at our first bridge on Adirondack or East Shore Drive, County Route 15. The bridge is approximately 90 years old, and the concrete, we have, terms that we use, falling into cracking. Basically, it's deteriorating. The arches underneath, for anybody who has gone underneath the bridge, there are arches that you would see above your head. They are in very poor condition, they're corroded, they're rusting away, and again, degrading. So as the county looks at their assets, they realize that as this bridge continues to be in service, it will continuously cost more money and have the need for larger repairs. So all of that weighted together, the bridge is basically at the end of its useful life. And 90 years out of a bridge is definitely a good time. And it's time to retire it and have something that will do that. The second bridge, which is being called Beaver Bridge on Johnson Road. This bridge is a little younger, just shy of 60 years. Its construction is timber, not concrete like the other bridge. And it is in poor condition. There's a lot of decay. If anybody has taken a quick look at some of the areas underneath, essentially there's rot in the wood. So one thing that has occurred with this particular bridge in our industry is called flags. The bridge has been flagged for the need for immediate attention occasionally. And when that starts to happen, what I like to use as an analogy is it's like an old car that constantly needs to go into the shop. Eventually, it just becomes time to get a new one after you keep on having to bring it into the shop. So same thing here with this bridge. It's reached the end of its useful life and it's time for replacement. So what we do when we go through bridge alternatives, understanding what we're going to choose for potential design, the first is the evaluation of the bridges and whether or not they can be rehabbed or if they have to be replaced. And both of these bridges are going to be replaced. When they get replaced, we look for a design that will last for at least 75 years. We are required to look at the water flow underneath each of the bridges. And there's criteria we must meet for all of the different storms that could occur, all of the water and the flooding that can go under the bridges. That criteria is set by DOT, and that dictates how big the bridge has to be. We call span, and how big the opening underneath that bridge is going to be. So we determine what that is, and then that helps us figure out which structure we're going to pick. We have geometric standards, safety standards, so that's basically just the width of the road. Currently, the travel lanes, the lanes that the traffic are going up and down, are 11 foot wide, and what we are required to have is on each side of the bridge, or each side of the travel lanes, a 5 foot wide shoulder for pedestrians, cyclists, and also for emergency needs, should cars have to get over for a first responder passing by. And then another component of our alternative analysis is picking the design that will, to the best of our ability, impact the local community the least. Construction happens, bridges do get closed, there is impact, but we go through a process to try to pick the bridge design that will lessen those impacts. So our preferred alternative, starting with the Adirondack Bridge, and this is of course the bridge by the lake and with the marina back here. What we have chosen is called a galvanized steel multi-beam structure. What that basically is, you can think of a steel beam, an I-beam. It's going to be multiple I-beams spanning the stream, and on top of that is a concrete deck. So the road is concrete over the bridge. And then on each side of the bridge, there's an extension of that concrete called an approach that extends about 20 feet or so. With this bridge, as I explained, we are increasing the span, and that is the requirement that we have from criteria from DOT. And we are going to raise the road profile. What that means is the road is coming up in elevation, and underneath the bridge is also coming up in elevation. There's a lot of things at play. What I'd like for everybody who is interested in knowing how much more headroom there is under that bridge, approximately 12 inches. That is 12 inches when the lake is at its normal level. Obviously, there's fluctuation in that level, so you don't exactly see it. But from the existing condition, it will probably be about 12 inches high. There'll be minor improvements elsewhere along the road. On each side, we'll be repaving. And then an item that I'll bring up here right away, which is easements and acquisitions. The next slide here, and again, these boards are back, at the back of the room if anybody needs to take a quicker look. This is looking down on the project at Adirondack Bridge. Obviously, bridge here, the extents of the road that will be repaved. What I want to draw your attention to are the green and red lines. The green line is a proposed easement. That is a temporary easement that will allow on both sides of the bridge the contractor to be able to access that area so that they can successfully construct the bridge. The second line, the red line, is what we are proposing as a permanent acquisition, so that is a land transaction. That is needed so that the entirety of the bridge is within land controlled by the county, so that they are always able to maintain it and access it in the future. Second bridge, Beaver Pond Bridge on Johnson Road. The design is the exact same design as those I-beams, so the galvanized steel multi-beam structure. I will also have a concrete deck, and the span is increased from existing. This project also raises the elevation of the road as it goes over. It's not necessarily for the same reasons. This has to do a little bit more with the water criteria for passing water safely under the bridge without the risk of it ever overtopping. Minor improvements each side of the road, and then right of way. Again, the same style map showing what will be done in proposed conditions. The green lines being a temporary easement so that we have access to the area during construction, and the red line being a permanent acquisition, again, for the purpose of the county being able to always access and maintain the structure. Detours. So during construction, the bridges will be closed. They have to be. They have to be demolished, and then the new one has to be built. So that area of the road will definitely be closed. When we talk about detours, these are the official routes, and the official routes have to be on roads where all traffic, truck traffic included, are able to safely go through the area. So we don't usually pick side roads, we don't usually pick smaller local roads. We pick the roads that have the capacity for large trucks. In this particular case, for the Adirondack Bridge, when it would be closed, the official detour, as we have it planned now, would be to make, if you were on the bridge and you were heading south, you would stay on County Route 15 until you get to County Route 64, which is East Spoon River Road. Come down all the way to Valentine Pond, which is County Route 55, back up to Johnson and around. So again, that is because it has to support truck traffic. We are fully aware that Shaw Hill Road is here. We also know there's another cut here. We anticipate local traffic will go the way that they know. So even if the official sign is here, these roads are always open and accessible, and anybody who's local will obviously be able to know which way to kind of go around. Access to the bridge, all of the driveways and all the roadways near the bridge will always be maintained. So you will be able to get, if there was a driveway close to the bridge, it will always be accessible to you. And for the Adirondack Bridge, a temporary pedestrian bridge will be installed. We realize that there are a lot of pedestrians and cyclists who are on the road. That bridge will be narrow, so it will be signed so that anybody who is on a bike has to dismount and walk the bike over. But it is going to be there so that pedestrians are able to continue on their way up and down through the whole hamlet area. And then the last thing, during construction, we always have inspectors there. There will be an individual there that is a representative of the county, and they can be made aware of any issues, and that will obviously be reported up to the county. So there's always going to be somebody there in case the public were to see something of issue, especially when it comes to traffic. For the Beaver Pond Bridge on Johnson Road. So smaller detour, being starting from the bridge, coming over to Valentine Pond, coming back over to, I don't know if that's correct as labeled County Route 15 per Google, but it's basically coming back over here to Johnson Road right now. I wanted to mention that it is possible both bridges will be closed at the same time. It is possible they will be staged, one and then the other. They may be on and off. So I want the public to definitely understand that those two things could happen. The bridges will both be closed at the exact same time. At this point in our project, it is hard for us to predict the exact way that it will be done. What we call means and methods that the contractor will have. When the contractor is selected, they will be able to customize their detours a little bit. This is what we're proposing right now. There may be some change and the exact staging could change, but this is where we're at for this point in time. And again, there's always somebody, a representative of the county on the site during construction, which would be an issue. Last topic is the cost. As of right now, we are anticipating the total construction cost of the bridges will land somewhere between $3.25 to $3.5 million. There is construction admin and construction inspection costs that go along with that at approximately $630,000 for our current estimate. That involves all of the inspectors that will be there, all the materials that get tested to make sure that this is properly built. And the way that the overall funding is broken down, 80% of this is covered by the federal government through FHWA. 15% of this is covered by the New York State DOT, and 5% of this is covered by the county. So at this time, I would invite anybody who has any comments or questions that they would like to let us know. If Kevin wants to, if you want to come back up, if there's a question for the county, we can go through it. If you don't want to do that right now, perfectly fine. The forms are in the back, the email is available, and we have until October 27th to submit those and have that kind of conversation.
The email is also on the back of the brochure as well.
The email is also on the back of the brochure, so you have that in multiple places. So, please, thank you.
Don Rosalado on East Shore Drive. I have a few questions, and some of them have been explained very nicely. Is there an engineering report from either the county or the state that address these bridges? Is there a fault with these bridges?
There is, and I think Dan explained it a little bit. So all these bridges are inspected by DOT, New York State DOT, every 2 years. They're on an inspection program. I don't think we received one for Adirondack.
Not yet, no.
But we have, but they give us a report every 2 years when they do an inspection as to what condition the bridge is in. We have had red flags on Beaver Pond, not red flags, maybe yellow.
Definitely yellow.
Definitely yellow. I don't know if we've gotten to the point of a red flag yet. There's different scenarios of flag. They're what they consider safety flags. Had a couple of those where it's a minor repair. A yellow flag may be something a little bit more that needs to be done to the bridge, but it's by no means you can still traverse the bridge, you can still travel over the bridge. And then there's a red flag, and then there's two different levels of red flag, just a normal red flag and then a red flag, what they refer to as a PIA, which is a prompt interim action. And none of these bridges have that. But those are the bridges that we have to, especially with the PIA, we have to do something right away with DOT. So there are, I guess for lack of a better way of putting a report, it's an inspection report that we get every 2 years from DOT.
What are the tax implications per house in Horicon or Warren?
As far as cost of these bridges?
Yeah.
Again, Dan explained it, these are federally funded projects, so it's an 80, 15, 5. So I think all in, what's our 5%, Megan, on this? Do you have a, okay. So, but it's the 5%. I think a lot of this, and I can't tell you what the tax implications are. We fund for this every year, I budget for it every year, I know what my capital projects are gonna be for the following year. So I typically will go to my budget officer and say, these are the federal projects that we have coming up this year, these are the monies that we need for, and that 5% is our local match. But I mean, we're paying 5 cents on a dollar to get a brand new bridge. And I don't think it's a significant increase, I really don't. The only thing I can say is that we just did budget for this year, and I can tell you that the county is, and Mike can vouch for this, it's over by 8 million, so they're looking to make cuts, but these are not going to be the things that we cut out of the budget.
And I did notice physically there are a couple of white lines on the Adirondack Bridge, but not on the Beaver Pond Bridge. Can you explain that?
So it depends. Beaver Pond is a town road, but it's our bridge, correct? Yeah, so, and I think that's the case. I haven't been out in the field a long time being a superintendent, so the towns typically will stripe their roads, maybe center line, maybe they don't put stripes on their roads at all.
No, I'm talking about going vertically across it, as in right at the end of each abutment going across the Adirondack Bridge. Weren't there a few weeks ago.
An indicator where they may be proposing work.
Yeah, it looks like proposed work.
It might have been, maybe something that it did
We
with
haven't
the
been
field
out there
for picking up
for
something
weeks.
for design. But I've never, I was thinking you're doing edge lines, but yeah, I'm not sure. I can definitely have Megan take a look at that tomorrow.
So in other words, as a taxpayer, and you live in Warren County, it doesn't matter what town you live in, you pay for all the bridges in Warren County. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So it's not that people in Horicon are gonna be paying 5%.
No, absolutely not.
It's-
No,
as a town-
it's
as
all
a-
of Warren County,
Right.
yeah, all the
That's-
taxpayers,
that's-
including me. I'm a
right.
taxpayer in Warren County, correct. Yep.
So if they're gonna replace a bridge in
In
another
Queensbury,
town,
all
as
Warren
a
County
Warren
residents.
County,
Yep.
you know, right?
Yep, that's
Okay,
true.
I
Yes.
understand.
Kathy Hill, I live between the two bridges, right in Adirondack, between the general store and the lake. You had a map up, and it showed East Shore Drive, Valentine Pond Road, and Johnson Road. And it was talking about these roads.
The one before that, I think, Dan, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So how do we who live there know where your construction vehicles are going to go? Are they going to come up East Shore Drive exclusively to that bridge? Are they going to come up Valentine Pond Road to both bridges? Are they going to use Johnson Road? Johnson Road recently blacktopped.
Right.
I'll take it if you want.
You're more than welcome out.
So, Dan had talked about it earlier, saying we don't typically say means or methods of the contractor. We can tell them to some degree in the plans and the specs, this is where we want you to travel, but I don't think we're at that stage yet of where they would go. I mean, if somebody's coming out of the north, which, I mean, it may be Valentine Pond, it may be East River, I don't know. It'll all depend on where the contractor's coming from. So where he stages his vehicles at the construction sites, they will be inside kind of those easement areas or right-of-way areas that were the fear.
I was just wondering if there was going to be a directive for where they're going to travel.
Just, and Dan explained it, just so, and he's got it on the bottom of this slide, there is always going to be full-time on-site inspection of these. One, to make sure that the contractor's doing the bridge correctly, and we as the county as a sponsor make sure we're getting what we're paying for. And two is to make sure that all the residents are satisfied. If there's any questions during construction, that person will be there to answer those questions.
One more question, please. You mentioned that the two bridges are going to be raised, but for different reasons.
Truthfully, both bridges are being raised for the same reason. The criteria that we have for DOT for the water being able to pass through without ever risking overtopping over edge. So both of them are truly raised for that reason. I highlighted on Adirondack that there headroom, because I do understand with the marina there that that is an important topic. But truthfully, they're being raised for the same reason, which is what we call hydraulics, what's going on.
So I don't live in those condos, but if I did, I wouldn't think that 12 inches would be enough. Is there a reason that you're going 12?
Yep. Well, again, 12 is just a little bit relative. That's what we're shooting for, hopefully with everything, the way it works out. And again, relative to a normal elevation of the
High
lake.
watermark, right.
Correct. So the reason why we can't go anymore, the road there is relatively flat. There is enough grade, although by using the naked eye, you can't really tell. There's enough elevation for us to regrade the road and bring the elevation up. But I can't bring it up much more than that. What that does is that creates an arch, and we do not have arches on the road. We don't create bumps. It has to be a steady flow of traffic through there without that kind of abrupt change. The other reason why is we are limited for the project limits on this. The project is a bridge replacement. Replacing highway and going far, far out so that I can bring the elevation way up, it's not necessarily in the parameters for the funding for this. So I have some ability to go out in each direction, but I can't replace an entire road to bring that
And
elevation.
the standards that these guys are referring to for a bridge replacement, they use the bridge design manual, but we also use DOT standards for highway design, and we don't typically try to put a non-standard feature in a roadway. And the other part of this, if we had asked him to raise this more, there's gonna be more right-of-way and fee acquisitions that we would require for that.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for this presentation tonight. It's very helpful to understand the scope of the project. Just a question about the Adirondack Road Bridge, and I was pleased to hear that there would be a temporary pedestrian span installed because as a member of the Adirondack Lodges, we do have units within that complex that are on either side of the creek. So let me just say thank you for that. We really appreciate it. One question I did have is, was any thought given to possibly reconstructing the bridges so that half of the bridge could be constructed at one moment and then you could maintain vehicular traffic, as has been done with some of these bridges that have been reconstructed up near Keene when all the flooding occurred? That's the first question. And then the other question I have, and it's more of a concern, is there is a satellite fire station in the town of Horicon, just past the Adirondack General Store. And I am a little concerned about fire protection for people who are proximate, but yet on the other side of that bridge, because then the fire department will have to come out of Great Lake all the way down here. Any
So I want to take the second one. I'm going to let them take the first one. So for a second one, typically what we would do is we would reach out to the fire departments and we would try to get them to stage their equipment on the other side.
Okay.
So that, and then if the PED bridge is there, it's a matter of just getting to the PED bridge and getting across to get in their equipment. So that's typically one of the things that we'll always do is reach out to any emergency services to be able to do that. As far as doing a stage construction on a bridge, certain bridges are you can do that, and there's other ones you can't, and I'll let kind of Dan go into the explanation on that one.
At first, it is part of the analysis, taking a look at one of the types of designs we can do. These sections here, just so everybody understands what they're looking at, if you were to take the road and think of it like a sandwich, cut the sandwich in half, pick it up and take a look at what's in the sandwich, that is what you're seeing here. This is the road over the bridge, cut in half, pick it up, and take a look at what that road looks like. So these are different sections that we used in our design, coming up with what was going to be the best option. Of the three options that we have picked, and I'm going to defer here to Brett in just one moment, we did take a look at an option that might be able to be staged for that, but some of the parameters, it didn't fit all of the criteria that we were looking at cost-wise and some of the other items. Brett, you know, have anything else to add to that?
The main reason for staging at this point would be a couple things. Where we can cut the bridge to stage the existing has to do with those jack arch, which is basically a corrugated steel pipe that was cut in half under the bridge. So we can only cut in specific spots to keep the existing span usable for vehicles. then we'd have to try to build something off to the side. It becomes a geometrical constraint. If we're gonna try to add a pedestrian bridge for pedestrians, then squeeze in the actual construction of the new span, in addition to trying to keep the existing in place, it becomes a challenge for horizontal geometry, so cars fitting through. Also, because we're raising grade, it's a vertical challenge. And in addition to, if we want pedestrian, there's not a lot of places to put pedestrian access outside of kind of that upstream kind of little knoll area. So those three things, pinching it, and then in addition to all of those things, if we could tackle all of those hurdles, it makes construction longer, which I think.
That's what I was gonna talk to. One, it will significantly increase cost, and we only have a certain pot of money for this. And two, and we do this all the time, if I can allow the contractor to have the space to himself without dealing with traffic, he can work much quicker and get these projects done much quicker.
The only thing I just want to make sure, it is part of our analysis. We
Yeah.
do look at that, so it was considered.
Appreciate the consideration. Thank you.
Yep.
Rich Lockwood, I'm at the Adirondack Lodges. The easement, the green line, how much will that affect the harbor area of the lodges?
Well, I can just discuss both sides. So truthfully, I mean, through the waterway, the contractor may need access if they have to put a cofferdam in, if they have to do something in order to work underneath and within that waterway. Other than that, within the waterway, there isn't much that the contractor would be doing. The area outside of the waterway, that's really meant more for what we call laydown, the staging for materials to be there. It's also to allow the contractor to walk through there, to have his machines through there. And what we do when we do these lines, whether the contractor would actually be in there, likely no. This is all one parcel, and we just close that whole entire shape. So the contractor may only be in a small area of what we have shown in green. We're just required to close that shape because it's one parcel of land. Yep. There's a lot of people, I'm sorry, I did see you in the back, so, yeah, go ahead.
At the timing of this, would we be able to get boats, you're referring to that as a marina, we call it the harbor?
Harbor, okay,
Do
yep.
you think we'll be able to get boats out of the harbor under the bridge during construction?
Probably not.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you, probably not.
yeah.
And I'm not sure that you'd want to.
I figured that was.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yes, yep. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Rich Nod, I live on East Shore Drive. Most of the local traffic is gonna take Shaw Hill Road for the detour.
Yes.
And I know Shaw Hill Road is on a county road.
No.
So my question to the town, I guess, is there gonna be any improvements to Shaw Hill Road, because that road is in rough shape?
So I'll go back to if the locals take it, we're definitely not gonna allow the contractors to go those routes, but if the local takes it, then I'll leave that to Mike, and that's one of his road projects for next year.
Yeah, I just want to add, I mentioned it because I want you to know, it's not that we're not recognizing there are other roads and other paths. My responsibility is to make sure, say, a tractor trailer or a true truck does not take those paths, takes a road around that is meant for a tractor trailer, so.
Just curious if you're in coordination with the contractors working on their harbor now? I mean, that project looks to be moving along. Will you be disrupting or like dismantling anything they're gonna do? We should be done this year.
Yeah.
I think they'll be finished this year. There was a minor disruption to our road, but it's all done, completed. We had a pipe put underneath the road to replace an existing pipe. We're good to go. Good to go.
Gary Carl, I'm president of the lodges, and since we're on that topic, I wanted to publicly acknowledge and thank Kevin and the department for facilitating our ability to replace that culvert on short notice to expedite our project, which is underway. We do appreciate the 12 inches, and every inch past that you give us would be important. I have to say that, and then Another thing from the lodge's perspective is, you know, Millbrook splits our campus, and we do have, you know, our lawn equipment and other equipment that needs to get across that span so that we can mow the lawns and take care of that side of the campus as well. Is your temporary bridge going to accommodate that? I know it's designed for pedestrians and bicycles, but what about, you know, our power equipment? What are we going to do for this evening?
That is definitely, okay, thank you for bringing that up, something that we're not aware of that we can kind of take into consideration. I think we would just need to know more about what exactly would be going over. If somebody's with a push mower, I recognize it's not always a push mower, it's something larger, but, okay, all right, yeah. So if it is larger, I think it's something we just have to work with, and we may have to sit and work with you, because during this process, it might be that when this bridge is, when the bridge area is closed, it might be during a time of the year where you're not mowing.
Right.
So I think we'll definitely work with you on that one and see what might be the best option in that particular case. But thank you for bringing it up.
Rock Road, and I live in the lodge. I have two questions. One of them was, last year, I believe it was, or 2 years before, there were signs that trucks over a certain weight were not allowed to go over that bridge. Obviously, I don't see the signs anymore. It would be determined that it was safe for them to go over.
We didn't have lodges at the Adirondack Bridge load posted. No. Might have on Beaver Pond have it load posted, yes, but I don't believe that Adirondack lodges, the Adirondack Bridge has ever been load posted.
Okay, well, there was some signs there, either.
Yeah, I mean, and typically what ends up happening is we do, if we get a flag from DOT and we have to post a bridge, then what we have an engineering firm do is a low rating analysis on the bridge to determine, do we truly have to, because DOT may come through with an inspection report and say, this is the issue on the bridge. And their recommendation could be a load posting, but they'd want a low rating analysis done first. So then typically we would do a low rating analysis, and I can tell you sometimes we've done a low rating analysis and we don't load post the bridge. Other times we have, but I just don't recall that one.
Or it could have been that there was something that's specific that we already fixed and that changed the load rating. value.
Yes,
So
yeah, that could be as well, yep.
All right, my second question would be, under the bridge, okay, is that going to be cleared out of construction debris from the old bridge and stuff like that, so the waterway under the bridge?
Yeah,
Yep.
so the existing abutment, we're gonna leave that so that we don't destabilize the existing ground. The existing bridge stems that you see above the water and the footing that's below the grade, water and ground, is on timber piles. So we don't wanna destabilize that area. Like, we're going to put riprap, we're gonna stabilize what we can, but that would just lead to destabilizing that local area. So one of the things we're gonna do is cut the existing abutments down to the thread of the stream area and then build up from there. So there will be, but the construction debris and the abutments will be chopped down to a specific elevation so that they're clear.
Okay, but the flow of the water, and that's where I was concerned with, because we do have boats going under there, so that there's not big rocks or this or that or anything like that.
There is a floor in that, under that bridge.
Yeah, those, I mean, during construction, and this goes to our inspector who'll be out there, and based on the permits and things that we have in DEC, but if they see something down there while they're doing construction, our inspector is gonna tell them to pull it out. So, but as Brett said, they're gonna be cut off at the bottom, but then they're gonna slope up from where they are existing today. They're gonna slope up, I don't know what the slope may be, or
It's around 2-on-1.
2-on-1 from that point up to where they would meet the roadway again. So
The span's going to be longer.
the span's going to be longer. The channel will remain the same, except it will slope up from where it is now. So I guess the quick way to
Sorry,
explain
I don't
it, it's all right, the best way I can explain it, if this is the bottom of the wall that will be left in place, from that point, the span now is going to be out here, so it'll slope up from there. So technically the base or the bottom is not getting wider, but as you come up, it does get wider.
A number of people. I did see you earlier, so go ahead, please.
Bob Lockwood on the line. Maybe I missed it. What's the duration on the Adirondack Bridge once you start? 2 months, 6 months? Do you have an idea?
Again, a little bit of that will go to means and methods of what the contractor is going to have. The construction period, if we are able to go to bid at the end of 2024, you should plan for most of 2025 being a construction period. The contractor may not need a full year to construct a bridge for sure, but they may be moving equipment here and there. There will be closures throughout. I don't know if you have an idea, or Brett, when, say, the Adirondack Bridge is closed, demolish, and then put the new structure in a rough time
I'm
frame.
gonna look at Macon right now, because Macon's been doing 2 bridges in Johnsburg, and I guess she can kind of go through. They started when?
We started with deconstruction of the first bridge in the fall before we started construction. Our bridges that we're looking at.
And they'll both be wrapped up in probably another less than a month, probably 3 weeks. So that was 1 full year on 2 bridges.
So, and the other aspect of this that Pam mentioned was, we're not sure if they're gonna go concurrently or staged. If we do one, get it finished, then move on to the next one. It might separate the years, depending on if we try to separate them completely from each other. So that's still an option.
And then that goes back to us closing the road and creating a detour, because it'll allow the contractor, the 2 bridges that we have up there, both the roads are closed. The contractor's been able to do a fairly quick job on both bridges because they have the area to themselves, and they're not impacted by traffic day in and day out.
I just want to come back to the 12 inches again. The 12 inches calculated to, because of the high volume flow during a big rain event. But in the 2019 Halloween storm, that water that came down Mill Brook was banging up more than a foot onto the existing bridge. I mean, it was 2.5 feet up there for a period of several weeks. So I'm really wondering how we got to the 12 inches as being enough.
So you guys are designing for what year storm right now?
It's going to be, the normal criteria is a 50-year storm with a 2 foot of freeboard and then safely passing a 100-year.
Okay. And that's a 500-year storm. So we have seen more of those lately, but that's not what we're designing to based on the standards.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, all of this analysis is based on the 806 elevation that the lake is at on a regular day.
Right.
Not an inflated number, not anything else. So
Right.
the lake being controlled by the commission sets it at 806. So it's kind of independent, but that's the main genesis of the hydraulic analysis as a starting point.
The other item that I just wanted to make sure is clear when we look at the hydraulics, and Kevin had kind of explained it in this picture. Right now, you basically have a rectangular shape, and that can only have a certain amount of water. When we get done, it'll be a trapezoidal shape. It's going to have slopes. So even though we're coming up in elevation, there is space this way and that way where the water is also going to flow. So that provides the capacity we're looking for as well.
And then when we also talk about the 12 inches, it's 12 inches above the low chord, which is that horizontal line of the existing bridge to the proposed.
Right.
So that's where the 12 inches comes into play as well.
Speaking of trapezoids and headroom, sandwich cut of the engineering drawings that are proposed, and just the recent mention of the flat line of the current bridge. I'm sure you looked at this, but was there any consideration to making a trapezoidal shape on the underside of the bridge to increase that volume, mostly from a selfish reason for Adirondack Lodge's homeowners getting boats under? Or did that raise the cost significantly from having what looks like a pretty straight line underside support structure?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean the structure on the bottom being...
Right, looks like it's flat versus...
Yep, to be clear, I'll bring this up. To be clear, the option that we are choosing is the middle option, which right now is the preferred alternative. So it was, there's space in between each of these beams. If you follow the line across the bottom line of each of those beams, it's roughly a straight line. This one was an option we looked at. That would have given that straight line that you're thinking of. This, there are openings in between each of those beams, and then this area of the beam is the lowest point, if you will. So that's the point, when we're talking about approximately 12 inches higher. So if we drew what the existing would look like, that low area of the existing would be here, and then 12 inches higher is that first flange. So there's actually, with the beams, the space in between, there's more headroom there, but, you know, you hit your head on that first flange, so 12 inches.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sorry, 3 hands came up, I did see you first, yes, please.
I'm Tom Luciano, Chairman of the Park District, and what I'd like to ask is there a possibility that the involvement on the bridge could be marked for waterway? We're trying to do that around the way, and there's always been a problem in Adirondack. If we put it in, we have to take it out in the fall or winter, so the ice and everything else.
I see.
The other places we put around the lake, we haven't had to do that, so my question is, in the concrete, can we get a marker that's gonna last 50, 100 years? We don't have to pull that anymore.
Tom, we're not in the vote business, so, but what I would propose is, after we're done, if you guys wanna come to us after the fact and say, we'd like to put markings on there, we're not opposed to it, but I'm not gonna do something during construction.
Is there a possibility, instead of drilling into concrete, worrying about ice getting into it and breaking apart, is there any type of fastener that maybe you put in the abutment, so we can do that? Or is it second?
We'll talk about that, yeah, we'll look at it, I'm certainly will look at it, but again, you know, I understand the watermarks, but most of the watermarks that are put in certain areas, they're not done by the county.
No, we didn't do it.
Right, you guys do them, Soil and Water does them, DEC does them, we typically don't put those in, but I'm not saying we can't, we'll have to look at it and determine maybe what we would use.
I'm just curious if any economic impact study was done regarding that one local business that many people go to.
That's part of their design report,
Right,
so
so, yeah.
and they're not, as Dan said, they're not quite there yet, that's their next stage. After this public meeting, they're gonna go into that design report, and that's one of the questions or one of the topics that comes up in the design report.
Okay, 3 hands, so go ahead, you, and then I'll come back to these. Yes, please.
Going back to the schedule.
Yep.
Most likely at this time, and I know it's probably swags at this stage of the game, what can we expect in the Adirondack lodges to, because you said, you don't want us to go out with boats during the construction or demolition and construction phase? Give us an idea of what that could be, okay? In other words, if you started, and you don't have a start date yet, but if you started in 24, and this month, that means that it would be almost a whole year from there, where voting would be.
Well, and I'll, again, I'm gonna refer to Macon, because we started the Dippy Kill Bridge last fall, and when did they didn't have pavement down, but when did they finally open it up? In June? So it took from fall, winter months, we allowed them to demolish it. They had probably stream restrictions that they were up against with DEC, so they had to pull out of the stream. And then, I think, and in June, we opened it up. They didn't have it paved yet, so how many months were they off in the winter? Couple months, 3 months?
They didn't go back in until late April, early May to start work. And in-stream is the DEC's in-stream restrictions are the parameters that we work with. So it's the 15th of May to the first 30th of September. Depends on-
Right, October 1.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be making.
So with that being said, I mean, that's depending on how this works, and I'll kind of take Dan's stance. We don't necessarily know dates yet, but if we get authorization to the construction at the end, mid to late 24, we could conceivably go out to bid and get a contractor to come in that winter and demo the bridge, and then in the spring start construction. We could. I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but that would be something that we would definitely look at.
And one quick clarification, the dates that you gave from April 15th to October 1st, that is a DEC restriction, that wasn't the duration of construction.
Correct, yes. Yep.
So the other aspect of it is materials, order materials, everyone knows it's getting ready to do. So that's gonna play effect into the scheduling, is whatever contractor we get on board, the reason why we wanna get them on board off-season, off-construction season, so they can get their orders in, and they can have the materials ready to go for the consecutive season.
So I believe I saw your hand next, so go ahead.
Assuming the 806 lake level.
Yep.
How high above that is the abutment cut off?
I don't know, the existing abutments will be at the bottom, like
At the bottom
of
of
the
the
stream,
right.
so below water.
Oh, lower.
Yes, yes. Yep.
Was there at this, yep, sorry.
Again, just playing an advocate for people in the lodges, they're going to have to find a place to put their boats. Is there funding available for temporary or rental of docks?
We can ask DOT and Federal Highway. I'm not sure. There could be, because you're doing kind of a relocation and not allowing somebody, but that's something we can look at. So,
Yes.
This might be kind of stupid, but the people that came and surveyed and drilled in over by the bridge, determining whatever they were determining, when they filled in the drillings, one of them did really nice. It was like a big pump. And I have seen several people trip because they're just walking and they're not paying attention. And they trip over this bump on the road, right by the bridge, yeah, right by the truck.
So first of all, it's not stupid. It wasn't a stupid
No.
question. And second of all, I can have our maintenance guys go out and take a look. If anything, maybe we'll get Todd and those guys to grind it off. So,
And if they're well, really nice, the other one
Yeah.
has a big lump on it.
My apologies.
Including myself.
Right. Was not aware of that. We will.
we'll take care of it. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, you're right. The plow will probably get it this winter, so.
Anything else? Question or just a comment?
Again, feel free to step up to the, oh, go ahead.
What's your best guess of this route being taken out in the winter time?
It really will depend on when we can bid the project, when the contractor's ready to go, and kind of a construction schedule that's established after the contractor's brought on board.
And what permitting?
Yep, and that's,
Yeah, and just to talk to it, and I don't want to cut Dan off, but there's a lot of parameters that come into play. I mean, we have to get approval, once they finish the design report, we have to get approval from Federal Highway and DOT. The next step is when they submit these plans, we go through the plans, make our comments, then we finalize our comments with the plans, we submit that PS&E package, which is plan specifications and estimates to DOT. We have to wait for their authorization to move forward. DOT, and I'm not gonna knock them, they're great partners with us, but they're always not the quickest in getting things done. So it always is always on that. And then that time of the year is probably the best time to bid because all the contractors are looking to get their work for the following year. And a lot of them, if they've got guys that are working and they don't lay them off in the fall, they want to find some work, they'll put them to work in the winter. And as you're all aware, it's some winters where we have, up through the end of December or beginning of January, we have pretty mild winters. Not always the case, but we have more so lately. And that'll give them the opportunity that if we bid it late fall and get a contractor on board, they might want to start that winter.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm curious how the interruption of the bridge on Adirondack will affect plowing. I mean, those guys will have to take a 20-minute, 30-minute detours to.
They will, and I believe Horicon plows for us. So we will talk, yeah, we will talk, right, we'll talk with Darren and we may be the ones to assist them with plowing on that road during that time frame.
And also, we'll also coordinate with all of emergency services as well.
Correct.
So that, I know someone had mentioned that before, but they will also be coordinated with for the entire project.
Anyone else? Well, and again, feel free to step up to the boards, ask any more questions, take a look at them, take photos of them. You can still submit comments up through October 27th, and you can submit some here tonight. And again, this is great, because normally I come to a meeting like this for a bridge, and I get 2 people sitting in the room. So, thank you all.
Yes.
Thank you all for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.